Like knives before swords, I think is the rule. Hello, I'm Justin.
I'm Mark,
We're the J-Pops.
and we are attempting parenting in Japan.
Welcome, everybody.
Welcome to episode 7.
I'm going to jump in and say that there's big news that I want to hear. This was maybe even a week ago now. My wife told me that you and your wife found out the sex of your baby.
We did.
And I told my wife at that time, don't tell me, because I want to save it for the podcast. I want to get my pure reaction to the big news on the J-Pops. This is breaking news, at least as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, so a week ago, my wife went in for the ultrasound, and they said it's a boy.
Oh, we got another boy in the house. Man, Big news.
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yay. Oh, my wife popped in just to cheer.
Thank you.
We got J-Moms on the podcast now. All right. That's a Yumi's debut, everybody. All right. Yeah, so that's big news, and it's crazy. What are your feelings about it?
Oh, man. I'm excited for sure. Honestly, I thought I would have an easier time picking a name, but I feel like a little more stressed because I feel like I had more girls' names picked out already.
Exactly the same in our case. Exactly.
Yeah.
I had a list as long as my arm of girls' names, and then I was like, "Oh, keep my fingers crossed." But then, it's going to be a boy, and we had like one or two names. But I'm happy we've narrowed down our list, and we're feeling pretty good about it now. But I was at a loss for like the hybrid Japanese and Western boys' names.
Man, it's such a struggle coming up with something that can work in both and not be too hard to say for anybody in either country.
Yeah, and that your friends don't already have.
Right, exactly, because the good ones are taken already.
Yeah,
by most of the people you know.
Yeah, for sure, because there's only about 5 of them, so then they get picked right over. And we're late to the game. Everybody's got kids already, so
yeah,
we've got to figure out the niche. Yeah. Well, congratulations. I was thinking when we found out the sex of our baby, that I was telling my friend this, and I've probably said it on the podcast as well, that you think of it as though it's a coin toss. They're going to tell you one or the other, and then you think, well, I'll be happy with either. It doesn't matter. Or I'll be happy with either. It doesn't matter. And finally, they tell you, and you're like, yeah, boy, all right. You get excited, even though you knew that you would be happy with either. Then you still have a reaction to whichever one it is, which kind of took me aback. I was surprised by that.
Yeah, for me, it's more just that I feel like this is like a threshold moment. Like, all right, they told us there's a sex. Okay, now it's getting more serious. We're on to the next step. I really have to pick a name now.
Yeah. And you can narrow down so much when you know the sex that you're shopping for, and then things get kicked into the second gear, or it's like the next phase of buying and solidifying your plans.
Well, thankfully, nothing that I've put in my Amazon registry so far has needed to change based on that. Like most of the stuff we were picking was kind of gender neutral overall, and so that's good.
Newborns are kind of androgynous. They don't really care one way or the other. It doesn't matter. They're all bald. They don't complain about their clothing. Yeah, so there's going to be a lot of rivalry between the Whitting Hills and the Harrises now. A couple of boys coming up side by side.
Are they going to be rivals, or are they going to, cheer each other on? I think that's because I think they're going to be in like different sport camps or like interest camps, because you guys just seem more like basketball, kind of chess centric.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be like board games and computers in my house.
Yeah, true. And then the kids will get their own like wild spirits that are untamable by us and go off on these crazy directions. They'll probably both play baseball, but we'll have to hope they have to both make it to the prefectural level, and then prefectural champs, and then in all the big Ishikawa versus Toyama games, that's when they'll face off. That's when we'll find out whose baby is on top.
That's true. But
that's good. It had crossed my mind that if you guys were going to have a girl, we would have a boy. Then there might be that phase when they're, 3, 4, 5 years old, or whenever it happens, of like, I don't want to hang out with him. He's a
Right.
boy, like that kind of thing, back and forth. But boys, high potential. They'll be thick as thieves and into all the same crazy stuff.
Yeah, assuming we can get them together to hang out enough. I mean, we live like 45 minutes away from each other.
Yeah, I think our wives keep us tied together, and they'll keep us in the
Yeah,
game,
that's true.
so it'll work
But
out.
like that
Well,
distance, when you think about it, in like the States or somewhere, it's really nothing.
yeah,
Like you're like, oh, I'm going to go over to my friend's house. It's like a 30-minute drive. But
yeah,
in Japan, when you're like, oh, I have a friend who's 30 minutes away, I guess I'll see him after New Year's.
yeah, yeah. That's very common. And in Kentucky, it was exactly the same, because you're surrounded. I mean, I lived in a town, but it was surrounded by farmland for,
Oh,
an hour in all directions. And so if you've got somebody who lives out in the county, it's like, yeah, little 30-minute drive, no big deal. Or if you got
yep,
to go across town and then out into that farmland on the other end, like you could just drive all day just to see your friend. Totally normal.
yep, totally fine.
Wow. So this is huge. It's breaking news. It would have been huge either way, but it's crazy. We've got the J Pops and now the J Sons. Jason could be a name.
I have
Just
thought
throwing it
about
out there.
Jason. It's not a bad name, but I know quite a few Jasons.
Yeah, I know a Jason Harris. One of my great friends is named Jason Harris, actually. So this will be
Oh.
deeply confusing to me. Now that we're going to name it Jason, it's just, whew, I don't know what to think anymore.
That's stuck. All right.
Yeah. Cool. Well, one less thing to think about.
Any updates on your end?
Nothing in particular. It's more of the sort of, hey, we went to an appointment and everything's fine, so there's nothing to report. And that is the best kind of report there is.
Yep.
Nothing to worry about, nothing to give us anxiety. So yeah, my wife just had a pretty big appointment a couple of days ago, and it was A-okay.
Nice.
So
that's perfect.
No troubles there. And
nice.
I should say she's at 30 weeks. Moe is at 23 weeks.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's crack on with the segments. I said crack on for Joe because I know it's British and I thought Joe would appreciate it. Let's crack on with the segments.
You're welcome, Joe.
You're welcome, Joe. Amazon registry time. What's the story?
Let's keep talking about this because eventually they'll sponsor us, right?
Yeah, Amazon. Yeah, they like little guys like us. They'll throw us some money for sure. No chance.
I wanted to update a little bit about the Amazon registry this time, just because I recently saw that there was the welcome box that was back available at Amazon now, and there's a few rules that you have to, or not rules.
Rules? You mean like requirements or something, or stipulations?
Yeah. So the Amazon welcome box for your registry, it's available to anybody with a Prime account, and as long as you spend or have somebody else spend 700 yen worth of whatever's in your cart there, then they'll send you out this welcome box. And it says when you add it to your cart, it shows up as 920 yen, but then that'll get zeroed out when you actually go to finalize the purchase. It's just, I don't know why they put it there.
Yeah, I heard about the welcome box. I read about it on a website a few months ago, and I went to check it out, and then I saw it was Prime only, and I'm like, I'm not going to be a Prime member. I have somehow held off on joining Amazon Prime, so I just let that one go. But does it say what's in the box? Do you know what to expect?
Yeah, it gives sample products for a lot of things you'll need as a new parent. It's like diapers, some wipes. I think there's some of the cloths in there, and then different types of lotions and that kind of stuff. Just basic essential items.
Yeah, some freebies from Amazon.
Yep.
So go for it, all you Prime members. My Amazon registry update is the gifts have been rolling in, my friend. We've gotten loads of stuff. Have you received anything yet from your registry?
We haven't really shared it yet, so no.
It hasn't gone out extensively for us, but I think it's one of those things where somebody who wants to spend, like a parent or something, would choose loads of items and then say, one big nice thing and then 10 sort of smaller, cheaper things. So you just get, we were getting like 3 packages a day there for a while. It was ridiculous. But
Wow, that's nice. Your
yes,
list is almost done then, right?
nearly. And some people have gone off list, which I really appreciate, because if you have friends who are parents, I would almost encourage those people to buy from their experience rather than buy what I've naively put on my list. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that
So
makes sense.
we've got a couple of friends who have, I want to say a 4-year-old, 5-year-old. So they've been through it. They know it's coming. And then they, in their infinite wisdom, bought us a couple of things that we didn't even ask for. And I was like, oh, this is better than what I knew to ask for in the registry. But we got
Wow,
some,
that's pretty cool.
some standard clothes, a couple of books. We got some sort of blanket we just received about 30 minutes ago. You saw it happen. The
I
car
did.
seat that is here. It's in an enormous box. I haven't even opened it yet. And add that to the playpen. I mean, we're just rolling in it from the
Yeah, you
Amazon
guys
gift
are pretty much
registry.
set.
Yeah, we're ready to go. It's just smooth sailing until the baby's born. What? Oh, we got some gauze. They call it gauze. I don't know if this is like in English, if that's what they say, but in Japanese they say gauze, and it's like that sort of very thin rag or towel that you would use to,
Yeah,
wipe some spit up or something.
I've always known them as towels.
Yeah, I always heard towel or baby towel or whatever.
In English, for me, gauze is the stuff you wrap around a wound.
Yeah, yeah, it's not that serious, but it's just got some little pictures on it, and it's cute little gauze, they say.
Nice.
So Amazon is coming through for us. That's been nice. And I think Casey told us very early on, our friend Casey, who we interviewed in episode 4, he said on Twitter once, he was like, you basically don't need to buy anything. Like, he's never bought like baby
Right.
clothes. They all just came in, and that's been my experience here so far, getting prepped. So that's the Amazon roundup. Things are happening. It's all happening. It is. You've got a few things to talk about today that I have never heard of and have no idea about. So, what are those things?
Yeah, so a few weeks ago now, my wife and I went to a local shrine. I think it's called Hanyu Gokoku Hachimangu Shrine, and it's the biggest shrine in our city, and also happens to be run by my Japanese teacher's family, and that's how we kind of became aware of it and decided to go to that shrine for the ceremony. That ceremony is called Anzan Kigan. Anzan Kigan literally translates to pray for easy delivery. So this ceremony is typically done in the 5th month of a woman's pregnancy. In Japan, the 5th month typically occurs between the 16th and 19th weeks of pregnancy. The 16th week is considered safe from miscarriages. So the shrine guy, the priest, who's actually my Japanese teacher's father and a really nice guy, awaken the kami that's in the shrine and say, like, hey, like, these two are having a baby. Can we get you to come out here and like make sure this is cool and everything goes smoothly?
The shrine guy sounds very informal. So so it's for God's protection, or a God's protection, some Shinto God's protection of your pregnancy then.
Yes,
All
basically.
right. All right. We have no such experience with that yet.
Are
At
you
least that
planning
I'm
on
aware of.
anything like that?
I don't know. I haven't heard tell of it. I mean, it may come up, but I don't know about the Anzan Kigan. Is that what it's called? Oh, I've messed it
Yeah.
all up. The Anzan Kigan. Well, tell me about the relation to Inu no Hi, which sounds like Day of the Dog or Dog Day.
So Anzan Kigan is done on Inu no Hi, which means Dog's Day in English, because it's believed that dogs have relatively easy deliveries. Inu no Hi happens 2 or 3 times a month, depending on how it falls within the year. In the Chinese calendar, dog is the 10th or 11th animal, and so there's a dog day every 12 days. And in December this year, there were actually 3 dog days. It was the 4th, the 16th, and the 28th.
Okay.
And so ideally, when you're doing the Anzan Kigan, you want to do it on a day that falls on Inu no Hi, because it's
Mm-hmm.
kind of like boosting your luck.
Oh, that makes sense. Because of the litter. That makes sense. So they'll crank out 7 or 8 puppies at a time, no bigs, and no trouble. That makes a lot of sense. Can I just say about lucky and unlucky days? This puts me in mind of wedding ceremonies, and I think that this is not connected to the 12 animals and that sort of zodiac list of animals. But in Japan they have that alternate old calendar that overlays the modern calendar, and it's like a 6-day week, I think.
Oh,
And
yeah.
some of those 6 days are considered, one of them's very lucky and one of them's very unlucky, and there are like varying degrees of luck. And then you want to get your wedding on like basically not on the unlucky day. And my wife and I, when we were planning our wedding, we went to some venue and they showed us available dates, and I noticed that there was a nice like weekend date, just a prime weekend date that it would have worked well for us, and it happened to be $2,000 cheaper for the reservation as compared to any of the other dates that were available. And I was like, oh, there we go, there's the one.
Wow.
And it's because it was on the dreaded Butsumetsu, which is the unluckiest of the ancient 6-day week. And I thought, I don't know, $2,000 sounds very fortunate. And
Wow.
we didn't end up choosing it because it was just, it was too unlucky to sell to the entire family, basically. But I would advise everyone, luck doesn't exist. So if you can get $2,000, take $2,000, put it in your pocket. It does exist, and you can enjoy it all the way to the bank. Yeah.
Very
so
nice.
the luck is a big thing. Hopefully the Inu no Hi didn't cost you an extra $2,000, but anyway.
No, it's actually pretty cheap. It's at least the shrine we went to, it's only 5,000 yen, and it's a pretty quick ceremony overall. It took us like maybe 20 minutes in the whole like setup. Like the priest talks to you and tells you like what's going to happen, and then he does the thing, and then you're out of there.
Any photo opportunities?
Yeah, I was able to video the whole thing.
Oh, okay. It sounds like one of those things that you might dress up for and then bring a photographer along. Did that happen? No?
No, I was my own photographer, and I wore the warmest clothes I could wear because it was very cold.
Okay, that makes sense.
That's the extent of my dressing up.
All right. Well, ceremonies are available, everyone. If you're into ceremonies, go for it. One more time. What's the name of it? I can't remember.
Anzan Kigan.
All right. Let's see. Next up on our list.
You wanted to talk about coffee.
Yeah. I just something I've wondered about, and I thought that this would be valuable information for people out there. Is you always hear about, do this and don't do this during the pregnancy. Obviously not for the dads, but for the mother. And coffee is one of those where people say you should avoid coffee and avoid caffeine. And I think it's one of those things. I mean, this was my thinking before I looked into it whatsoever. It seems like everything is fine in very tiny doses. Your methamphetamines, your heroines, all of it. Just keep it to a minimum.
Not a full
moderation
line,
is
just
key.
a quarter line.
Exactly, a quarter line. Dime bag, no. Nickel bag, fine. These are the rules of thumb.
Nickelback.
Nickelback. Whoa! How dare you invoke Nickelback in my presence? So coffee is one of those things that I thought, yeah, probably. And I'll occasionally, as I make coffee, I'll pour like a finger of coffee, if I could say so, into a cup, and my wife will enjoy a finger of coffee. And then it was always in the back of my mind, am I doing something wrong? Is this a mistake that we're making? So I looked it up in our number one resource, What to Expect When You're Expecting. And if everyone will turn with me to page 64 of What to Expect when you're expecting, there's a caffeine counter there. And the long and short of it is, at the end of the day, you can have daily, you can have, say, 2 very small cups, or like maybe 1-ish average sized cup. But there's so much that goes into it, because what if it's a high caffeine dose? Or what if like you make, a sort of weaker coffee? So you have to take all that into consideration But if you're making it yourself at home and it's normal strength and it's just average, then they say, according to what to expect when you're expecting, 2 small cups, 2 very small cups is fine. And the numbers are, they say, limit your caffeine intake to 200 milligrams. And then those 200 milligrams shake out in a lot of different ways. If it's brewed
Damn, that's a lot,
coffee,
actually.
yeah, well, they say a 240 milliliter brewed coffee has 135 milligrams. So 240 mils, that's roughly a quarter of a liter, right? And that's 135. So you could probably get, what, 300, 350 milliliters of coffee, sort of at a normal even brew, which seems like quite a lot, actually, coming up on a third of a liter. That's not bad. An espresso, a 30 mil espresso has 90 milligrams, so you could have 2 30 mil espressos and so on. One canned cola only has 35 milligrams, so you could just go crazy on your canned colas. It's really shocking to me. I thought you were supposed to
soda
give
doesn't
all
have
this
much
stuff
caffeine.
up, but yeah, well, apparently it's fine. That's according to what they say here. But of course, if you go overboard, there's like a laundry list of problems that it could cause. One of those is that if you drink coffee, coffee is a known diuretic, and it means it will make you need to use the restroom frequently. And when you're doing that, it's like you're, kind of processing things that your body should be absorbing, but you're sending them through too quickly. So things like calcium, then you would have less calcium in your body because you've had too much coffee. And it seems like, oh, calcium, coffee, what's the connection? There's not really, other than it makes you urinate out the calcium before it's absorbed into your system, and therefore the baby gets a bit less of it. So there's all these sort of like knock-on effects. That's another Britishism. So Joe, man, he's swimming in it this episode. He's loving it. There are a lot of knock-on effects to the to drinking the coffee. So as long as you keep it, like in the realm of moderation, you should be a-okay. And it's actually a bit more than I thought was allowed. So that's my big takeaway. Say, play it totally safe. One smallish cup of coffee, and you're a-okay. No trouble at all.
Yeah, we don't. I drink a ton of coffee, but Moe, it's maybe like 2 or 3 times a week. She'll have like a regular cup of coffee with me. Most of the time, she has her own decaf that she drinks.
Yeah, and decaf, according to this, the sky is the limit, because decaf, while it's not fully caffeine-free or caffeineless, it says that a decaf coffee has, let me find it, 5 to 30 milligrams. So even on the high end, at the 30 milligrams, you'd have to get over 6 cups of it to approach the threshold. So decaf, just go wild. You're absolutely fine there.
Unless, of course, you're dumping in tons of sugar and cream, and then, moderation.
Yeah, exactly. That is the key. So that's the coffee roundup. Oh, another bit of advice. They said that usually a coffee that you buy out at a shop is more heavily caffeinated than one that you would make at home. And I don't know.
I believe
that's. Yeah, that may just be
every time I go to Curio and get a coffee, I feel like I have the jitters when I leave.
Oh yeah. How dare you besmirch the good name of Curio on this podcast?
I'm not. I'm saying that in a good way. Like, thank you, Curio.
Good. Yeah, it packs a wallop. More caffeine for your buck down at Curio. This is an unpaid advertisement for Curio. Go enjoy their fine coffees. Yeah, but apparently out and about, it packs more of a punch than at home. And I guess that's, if you're running a shop, you want the customer to notice the coffee that they're drinking and to get the full effect. So it tends to be caffeinated right up. Anyway, that's sense. My coffee roundup. I had that question and I wanted to answer it. And there we go. Asked and answered.
Is it question time?
Yes, sir. My question for you is, I'm going to preface this with a rambly backstory. But when I was a child, I was just thinking about this earlier today. When I was a child, I definitely had a slingshot. And it was one of those full-on slingshots that has like an armrest, and it's got like a little leather satchel type thing to hold your payload. Yeah, and it's got the armrest so that you can really pull it back, and it's got like that medical grade tubing on both sides. And I lived out in the country. behind my house, it was just fields as far as the eye could see. So you could just launch stones and rocks and everything. And I guess my parents just trusted me not to break all the windows in the house and so forth. Uh, Furthermore, I had a BB gun, and same deal. Just go out in the yard and shoot cans and just go crazy, and nothing bad ever happened. But as I'm picturing that to myself, I feel enormous anxiety about giving my own child, like theoretically, years down the line, any kind of slingshot or BB gun or anything, because it just feels like you're begging for disaster. Like, here's a little weapon, go for it, have a good
Yeah.
time. So, my question for you is: do you have this big fear of the slingshots and BB guns, and do you plan on, giving your kids those cool things that are potentially very destructive?
Yeah, 100%. Yes, I have that fear. I don't know if I will give them stuff like that. I think it depends on, how they are, what their temperament is, and if I think I can trust them or not.
Yeah, that's the mature way to go about it. Analyze, see how the kid acts, make it a little responsibility for him. That could work out.
Yeah, maybe baby steps, like give them something small to start with, like a throwing star, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, throwing star, like knives before swords, I think is the rule. So that could be the way to go. I was listening
Well,
to another podcast earlier today, and there's a guy, and one of the hosts of the podcast has an untold number of children. I don't know, 3, 4, 5 kids. And he said that there are BB holes in every window in the house. And he said that he refuses to repair any of the windows until everyone has moved out of his home. And it's just he and his wife left. And then he's like, okay, then I'm going to get the new windows. But while we've got these kids, I'm doing nothing to these broken windows that we have all over the place. And I was like, that's crazy.
That's a good policy, I think.
It is, but can you imagine getting to the place where you're just cool with all of your windows being like in some way cracked, or with like little, holes in them or something? That seems like a bit of an outlier. And in Japan, there's no guarantee
cold.
that it's cold, and the houses are right on top of each other. So you'll be lucky if it hits your house. I mean, realistically.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's going to the neighbor's house.
I have more freedom, I think. There's less of a chance of somebody getting hit around my house than there is around your house.
Yeah, that's true. And I don't know if BB guns are even a thing. I mean, airsoft guns, but that's a lot.
Yeah, I think they're just airsoft here.
Oh, okay.
I haven't seen, although the airsoft they have look like crazy real. Yeah. I walked into like a toy store like a couple weeks ago, and I saw these guns, and I was like, Jesus, it was insane how real some of them looked.
Yeah, there's an armory in a lot of shops of airsoft guns. It's alarming. But airsoft doesn't pack much of a punch, does it? I've been shot with a BB gun many times in my life, and it's unpleasant, but you can deal with it. And then airsoft is even... Oh, really? Airsoft is gentler, isn't it? I'm just making things up. I don't know. But it's called air. It's called air, which is very light, and soft, which means soft. So how could it be painful? Oh, I got hit with an airsoft. Like, no sympathy there. I mean, a BB will break the skin. So I would like to address my parents and tell them thank you for giving me that really cool stuff, because I loved that slingshot. I think about that slingshot sometimes still, and I didn't get into the BBs as much, but I got the old BB gun out and shot it from time to time, and it was very cool and very fun. But man, that's a big leap of faith on the part of the parents, I think.
How old were you?
I don't know. I can't say. Couldn't say for sure. I know there was a BB gun in the house before I was like 8, 9 years old. I was firing it under supervision at that time. And then I think I had my own BB gun a bit later. So 10, 11, 12, like that sort of age. Whew, huge risk.
Yeah, I don't think I had a slingshot till I was like maybe 11 or 12.
Yeah.
But I never had the BB gun. That was a big no-no.
Interesting.
Yeah. Although we used to go to, I don't know if you have them in Kentucky, but on the West Coast, they have what's called a Scottish Highland game. And it's kind of like a Scottish festival where they do basically Scottish Olympics. Mm-hmm. Giant guys go out there and throw telephone poles around and
caber tossing.
Yeah. But at these events, they have a lot of booths set up with like random things. And they always have a knife and sword booth. And
Good
so
Lord.
as a kid, I would always go there and go to these like knife and sword booths because they were the coolest ones when you're like 12 and 13 years old. And
Yeah.
somehow I always talked my parents into buying me one. So I had like a knife
My God.
collection.
Wow. I had a lot of knives too. And come to think of it, I had a pretty full on like outdoorsy knife with one big serrated edge and one blade
Yeah,
edge. And
I
then you
did
could,
too. And I think I was
yeah.
only like 13.
Yeah. I know for a fact because I remember having this knife in the first house that I lived in. And we moved from that house right around my 10th birthday. So I had it when I was 8 or 9. And it was, yeah, it was like a survivalist knife. It had a
Mm,
compass in the handle. You could unscrew the handle and it had like matches and, like survival gear down in the handle. And then
yep.
the blade itself was enormous. And I was like 8 or 9 years old, just strapping that to my belt, running around in the woods.
Yep.
I, yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. It was so cool to have at the time, and I loved it. But man, oh yeah, I don't think I could get one for the kid. I would just be too nervous. And my parents must have been very cool. So they're like,
Yeah, I
yeah,
don't know. I
slingshot
don't
the
know what my
knife, let him
parents
have
were
it all.
thinking.
Maybe I was like a timid nerd, and then they knew that it would come to nothing, and they were trying to get me out of the house a little bit,
Or maybe
bribing me
they
with
really
knives.
dulled it and you had no idea.
Yeah, maybe it was a toy knife. I don't know. It did retract into the blade, and I could stab myself in the stomach with no ill effect. So maybe that was the whole thing. No, it was a legit knife. It was intense. But yeah, we
Nice.
got knives. And then I think in Kentucky, in a way, it's training for when you become like 15 and 16 years old and you go over to your friend's house and there's just a pile of real guns in the corner, that
Right.
sort of thing. And so you need some like weaponry experience at a young age so that you can navigate the world of firearms. And yeah, when I was a kid, we were, yeah. Before I had my driver's license, I remember my best friend had about 6 guns, like handguns and rifles and so on. And
Damn.
yeah, so I would go over to his house, and you're just like a 15-year-old, 16-year-old kid, and things are just piled up and strewn around the bedroom. Like, oh, there's some underwear. There's like a stack of books that got knocked over. There's like 3 handguns. There's like whatever. And that's just how the room was. And it's like, oh, okay, I can't find my guitar picks. They're under the rifle. And it's like that sort of thing. And they were literally just, yeah, not in a case or not in a safe or anything, just stacked up in the
Wow.
corner. Yeah, I do remember getting warned quite sternly by my father at one point to go nowhere near the guns and don't mess around with them. I mean, we would shoot from time to time in a bit more of a controlled environment, but yeah,
Mm.
there were always guns laying around, and I guess you need to know how to take them seriously. So, yeah, maybe it was for my own good. I don't know.
I guess so. I didn't have any experience with guns till I think I was maybe 20,
Oh, really?
21. Yeah. In Western Washington, you don't go to a lot of friends' houses and just see guns in their rooms.
I know for a fact that when I was 8 years old, I went to a summer camp when I was 8 exactly. And there was a gun class at the summer camp. And it was like, shooting 22s, just the rifles.
Wow.
And I remember that they had like there was a cap. You could, when you went to the summer camp, you could sign up for any class that sounded interesting. So I was like, oh yeah, arts and crafts, and you glue 2 pieces of wood together. And then yeah, there's canoeing or whatever. And then guns. I would take guns as well. So went out to this camp, and then the situation was, I think we were in a dugout. I think it was like a baseball field, but out at a summer camp. And then the kids would get in the dugout, and there were 25 rifles. And so they capped the class at 50 like 8-year-olds
Wow.
because then you could use the buddy system. And so they were like, okay, come get your rifle. Like, find a partner, and then one of you come get your rifle. And now the one of you has the rifle. Okay, you're set. Now the other one, come get the bullets. And so they would open
Mm.
up these little ammo boxes, and I would hold out my little 8-year-old hand, and they would fill it up with bullets. and, then, and then the system was they had mattresses down like along the like just outside the dugout. They had these like, I don't know, 25 say like small mattresses there, and
Sure.
you were to lay down on your stomach with the rifle, and then they had targets across the field. And the one kid would hold the bullets in his hand and hand them to the kid who's shooting the gun on the mattress. So he would do the cha-ching, like the old shell would fly out and you'd have to pick it up, and then you would hand the kid the next bullet, and then he would go. And then once all the bullets were shot, you would switch places. Like I would lay down with the rifle, the other kid would run over and get a handful of bullets and come back. And the game was, there were targets, lined up across the field. And I don't know if this is true or not, but this is what they told us. That you could light a match if you shot a bullet that just grazed the head of the match. I don't know if that's true, but that's what they said could happen. So they taped matches right next to the dead center of the bullseye on everybody's target. And your goal was, can you shoot dead center enough to light your target on fire?
With the 22.
Yeah, with the 22, by striking the edge of the head of a match. And so we were all like gung-ho trying to light these targets on fire. Like, wouldn't that be cool if you shot and then your whole target goes up in flames? It would just be amazing.
I think that's brilliant on those teachers' part, because they're so distracted with trying to hit that match that they're not trying to point that gun at anything else.
Exactly.
And I think that was their whole goal.
Yeah. Now that I tell the story, this is the first time I've ever thought of it, but that must have been true to get us to really focus in on it and like, keep your eye on the prize, kids. Don't go wheeling around with that gun. Keep it pointed out there at the targets. Yeah, I don't remember much about it because this was 30 years ago, but nobody did it successfully among all of us 8-year-old kids. Nobody lit their target aflame, but it was our fervent goal. Like, we were intensely trying to do that for sure. Anyway, so yeah, there was, come to think of it, in my childhood, I mean, there were a lot of weapons available, and then you know, if they're all over the place, you probably should get used to them in some capacity, and that's what happened. But we have no such concerns here, so hopefully we can keep the kids out of it altogether.
No, yeah, I don't have any concerns with that here. That's part of the reason why we're here.
Yeah, exactly.
To be honest.
Safety through the roof. Not even a thing to worry about. What is this segment even? Where did this come from? We should have a segment called Guns. We can talk about guns every week. Okay, so my question for you. You have the anxiety, but ultimately, okay, so you're going to weigh it out. You're going to judge the kid on his merits. You're going to say, you're a good level-headed boy. Here's your slingshot, sir.
Yeah, basically, okay. We'll gauge their personality and see what I think they're going to be okay with. I mean, because around here, like, I chop all my own wood, and I use a chainsaw all the time. Mm-hmm. I have a bunch of axes. I have a bunch of machetes. So I'm constantly doing stuff outside with dangerous stuff. And I know they're going to have access to that, and they're going to see it a lot at a pretty young age. And I'm not sure when. I've thought about it a lot. I'm not sure when the best time to kind of start them doing that. Obviously not when they're, firstborn, because they can't lift it. Yeah. They can't lift anything yet. But
yeah, that's what's holding me back. I wish that they could pick up, daggers and stuff. You've swayed me. You've brought me around to your way of thinking. I think that's the way to do it, to, table that anxiety in case you really need it, but just take the kid for what he is, and then invest in the slingshot in due course when the time comes.
And maybe they're not even interested when they're older. That you're just like, hey, do you guys want to play with some axes? They're like, no,
we're cool.
I'm going to go watch YouTube.
Yeah, exactly. YouTube. They'll watch axe throwing on YouTube, and that'll be the cool thing.
Right.
Let's dive into Japanese of the day.
I have not a big Japanese topic, but I noticed something when my wife was at her ultrasound and they announced the sex of the baby. Mm-hmm. The nurse kept saying, and I'm going to mess this up, so I'm going to look this up really quick. Tsuitemasu. And I know that's different than what your nurse said.
We just got an arimasu.
Yeah, you just got an arimasu. In this case, though, they kept saying tsuitemasu, which means it is attached. Mm-hmm. And I thought that was a really weird way to say it's a boy.
Yeah. It is attached.
It's attached.
Yeah.
And then what's the alternative? Like when they say like it's a girl, like tsuitemasen, like
Yeah.
it's not attached.
Oh, we got a loose one here. A real loose cannon. That's interesting. We'll never know. I mean, unless like we go into
Yeah.
pregnancy round 2 or something, we get a girl. But so far, yeah, it's all. Mine was arimas, which is just it has or he
Yeah.
has, and yeah,
Yeah.
having or attaching. It makes sense. And it must be natural as anything. If you're a native speaker of Japanese, it must just be totally on the up and up. That's sounds fine. I'm
Yeah, I've
sure
heard
it's
the
fine.
recording that my wife was saying it and the nurse was saying it. And I was
Mm,
like, okay, well, this is just a thing. So I guess it's just kind of whatever nurse you have and whatever situation you're in, they might say different things
mm.
for, the sex when it's revealed.
Yeah, and none of it is too direct. I guess that's the common thread. Yeah, I don't know the American side of this either. It might also be kind of they might dance around it a little bit. I could see that happening. Like, oh, there's a little surprise in there, something like that. Yeah, so good luck to everyone decoding your nurses or doctors' messages. Oh yeah, my wife told me it was actually the doctor, not the nurse. So I was saying nurse earlier, but this was the full-on doctor who was using Audimas.
Oh, I think ours was
But
the nurse.
well, I've got in my hands another handbook, just like last week. This is called, awkwardly enough, Maternal and Child Health Handbook.
Oh,
And this is Japan wide, my friend. This is everywhere. You can pick up this book, and it's really kind of like it's not as cute as like a baby's first memory book, but it's more of like a say a 75-page pamphlet where you sort of track all the progress of your baby and write in the figures at all the appointments, and after the baby's born you can keep track of things as well. So it's for your record keeping, but it's quite nice.
hmm.
And they make an English version. This is available Japan wide, and in Kanazawa, at least, there are multiple locations you can go. The word for it is the Fukushi Kenko Center, which roughly translates to the Health and Welfare Center. And if you go to any of these centers, of which there should be a few dotted around a city of any size, then you can pick up the Maternal and Child Health Handbook. And they have it in a variety of languages. So I would recommend getting that,
Nice.
for all of the record keeping, but also for the animated glossary in the back of the book
Hmm.
with Japanese terms into English, of course, in my English version. And this glossary is like over 10 pages with little pictures sometimes. And it covers things like, if your kid is feeling sick, then you can describe all the symptoms of, just basic parts of the body, allergies, types of testing that can be done, types of medications, and all that sort of thing. So very useful stuff. Now
Yeah.
here's my complaint about the book. Everything in the back, and I mean everything, it's in English. And then how do they write the Japanese? It's all kanji, my friend.
Oh, super helpful.
Yeah, nary a hiragana character to be found. So you can carry this with you and you can point at things, but you
Right.
can't say them out loud unless you can read that kanji.
Is
So
the whole book in both like Japanese and then there's an English side of it?
it's actually page by page. It's written in English within a Japanese line underneath. So line by line, it's got it there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So they don't
So
intend it to be more like a helpful guide, more they intend it so that you can understand what this is in English, but we don't intend for you to speak it.
yeah. And man, there's way more than enough space in this glossary to put in a hiragana line just so you could say these things out loud. Like, I'm looking now at the word bronchitis and I'm like, okay, 4 kanji characters, got it. Like, that's as far as I can go with it. And I don't know how to say it. I mean, I guess I could then look that up online and get the hiragana, but please give us some hiragana. Like, think about it from our perspective. And
Yeah.
this is a real, like, I'm happy to have this in my hands. This is very useful. But
Yeah.
man, I'm like 98% happy with it if they just would have gone the extra mile with the hiragana.
There's always
Um,
something little with those books that's just off enough to
yeah,
make you irritated.
yeah, exactly. And I am thankful deep down. But one thing that's nice is that if something is only written in hiragana, then naturally they write it in hiragana in the back because that's how it's got to be. And one of those things is like famously Japan has a lot of onomatopoeia. And those sorts of terms are generally like a repeated couple of sounds, and they're usually just hiragana. Like there's not kanji characters for onomatopoeia a lot of times.
Right.
So this is under the section called types of pain. You know how there will be various types of pain you may experience, and pain is often described in these onomatopoetic terms. So I'm going to tell you the Japanese for 3 different types of pain, and
Oh
based
God.
on the onomatopoeia, just clear your mind and let it wash over you, and give me the sense of what type of pain this sounds like to you.
Okay.
And it'll get more difficult as we go. All right, the first one is chiku chiku. If you're feeling a pain and that pain is chiku chiku, then what kind of pain are you dealing with?
I feel like I'm dealing with a chicken pecking at me.
Okay.
I have no idea.
Run with that. That's good. I will tell you that this is on the lightest end of the pain scale. This is as light as you could possibly get, I think, for technically pain. And chicken pecking is just you're just all around it.
So like a itching, scratching? I don't know.
Oh, very close. It is a tingling.
A tingling. Oh dear.
A tingling is chiku chiku.
Can you actually classify a tingling as a pain though?
It's listed under types of pain. According to the book, yes, a tingling is a type of. I would say it's the lightest of all pains.
Okay.
The next one is zuki zuki. If you're feeling zuki zuki, what's going on?
Well, the way you're saying it doesn't lend itself to pain so much.
Oh, zuki zuki, zuki zuki shitemasu. What do you think zuki zuki is? I'll give you a hint in that I think this is a hilarious word, and it's the one that my eye was drawn to. I mean, in English as well. It's just funny to say, and I initially zeroed in on this one because it's hilarious to me.
Can you give me a hint?
I just gave you about 3 hints. I'm gonna say that this could be even a little bit sensual. I mean, it's painful for sure, but it could be on the sensual end of things. How about that?
I have no idea what you're talking about. Like a massage, like somebody's punching you.
Okay, like a sensual punching massage.
A sensual punching.
A sensual punching, I think, could describe this perfectly. It is throbbing. Zuki zuki, my friend, is throbbing. Okay. Now,
okay. That does go well with the way you said it then.
Yeah. Zuki zuki. The next one, and this is as hard as it gets, no pun intended, coming after throbbing. This is I don't know the English. I don't know what this means in English. So good luck to you, sir.
Thanks.
But I mean, it's a word I recognize, but I would never describe pain as this. The Japanese is kiri kiri.
Kiri kiri.
Kiri kiri pain. What is that pain?
Kiri pain.
And you'll have to go way outside the box because I don't know what this is.
Man, I got nothing. You're kind of throwing me off with saying that you don't even know.
Yeah, that's a hard hint. Think of something that you've never thought of before. Go. Kiri kiri, the word that they use is gripping.
Gripping?
Yeah, gripping. Gripping. A gripping pain. I don't know if it like a gripping novel like holds your attention. So I don't know if it's or if it feels as though you're being grasped or there's like a lot of tension.
Is it more like tightness?
Is that what tightness kind of? Maybe that's what they're driving at. Kitty kitty. Kitty kitty. I don't know what it means. But that's a question for our listeners.
Chest, do they give like a diagram or something?
This one's just in a white box. There's no context at all. Just kitty kitty means gripping. But I like that tightness in the chest. That makes sense to me. I'm, like just totally fabricating that, making it up. But our listeners can chime in. What is kitty kitty? Please tell us.
If you've heard any of these in your daily life, please let us know.
Yeah, please give us the story. Give us the context. One more time, just to review. Tingling is chiku chiku. Throbbing is zuki zuki. And gripping is kitty kitty. So use at your own discretion.
Thanks for that.
I think that puts us in the clear on episode 7. Do you have anything that you would like to add?
I do want to kind of start a new segment called Dad Jokes, if that's all right with you. And maybe
Yes,
just
sir.
kind of at the end of our episodes, maybe say a couple dad jokes that we learned in the week so that we have something ready to go when our kids of age and we can really just make them cringe.
Yeah, perfect. I guess you have a dad joke locked and loaded that you're just ready to go with.
I have a couple.
Okay, nice. I made one up a long time ago. You know, as you study Japanese and you realize 2 words sound the same and then you turn it into a dad joke because that's the best you can do.
And it involves Japanese.
Yeah, I've got a Japanese one ready to go, my friend.
Okay, well, I'm really curious to hear this one then.
Okay, I will have to ask the question in English, and then the answer will be in Japanese. And
Okay.
it's not going to be a laugher because you really got to know like the 2 words. But anyway, the question is, maybe I could give it a whirl in Japanese, but the question is, what is the youngest vegetable? So in Japanese, 一番若い野菜は何ですか? What is the youngest vegetable?
I don't know.
The answer is, and be prepared not to laugh at all, Sansai desu. It's Sansai. Sansai means, for the explanation, just so you know it's funny, it means mountain vegetables, those random vegetables that grow on the mountain path that you can pick up and make tempura with. And Sansai is also how you would say 3 years old. He's Sansai. He's 3 years old. So 3-year-old vegetable, Sansai. Makes perfect sense. It's the youngest vegetable.
That's pretty perfect. That's
that'll
a perfect
get a kid
dad
going,
joke.
I think.
Yeah.
Anyway, regale us with an English dad joke, if you will.
So I've stumbled across a few that I really enjoyed. The first one, a mom says to the father, "I'm washing the car with our daughter." The dad replies, "Shouldn't you use a sponge?"
Saw it coming a mile away. Painful.
It's great.
Yeah, that's solid.
Next one. Why do you never see elephants hiding in trees?
I don't know why.
Because they're so good at it.
Oh, I do like that. That's nice. Makes perfect sense.
Okay, that's all I got today then.
That's good. I think the kids will enjoy it. That's one for the kids. Tell your children, everybody. All right, cool. Well, I think that draws it to a close.
Yep. Thank you, everyone, for listening today. We hope this week's episode was informative and interesting. If you have any questions or comments, please reach out to us either on Twitter at jpopspodcast or by email at info@thejpops.com. And we'll talk to you next time.
Outros, my friend. My outro line this week is going to be aim for the stars, because even if you miss, you could still blast a hole in the moon.
Elephants. They're so good at hiding.
Indeed.
Later.
Take it easy.